making this video. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to make them because somebody has hacked and damaged my good phone. The screen sometimes will go blank. Then I have to key the power button several times before it comes back, and then it still has to be unlocked. Somebody has obviously hacked in and ruined it. It doesn't hold a charge either. This phone isn't even a year old. It's a very good phone, especially considering the price. Good processor. Guys, what's Snapdragon? Or is that might be Android? I forget. I think that is a processor. And I've got, 16 gigs of RAM? Or is it 32? I forget. Anyway, it's a very good phone. Very good. Quad core. Very good phone. That's why they probably hacked it and ruined it. Especially to stop me making videos. But this video is for politicians and for people in Congress or the White House related to the military and to military contractors. Maybe none of them will see this, but at least a few people will. And my question is, first, addressing contractors, is it true that the Defense Base Act was amended through executive order to include death long after a deployment? And actually, the amendment that's associated with that's supposed to stop retaliation, I forget the amendment. It's a name. I remember that it's somebody's last name. Probably the senator who proposed it, probably. But the amendment that protects people when they report contractors or subcontractors are retaliating because somebody filed the Defense Base Act claim. It's supposed to protect them.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But if DBA was amended to include death long after deployment, and specifying certain criteria where the subcontractor could make use of Defense Base Act to be repaid the bond that they paid on the contractor. And if it's true that it was amended to multiple things such as death long after, if a disease was even mildly related to service in the desert, or to include mental disorder, including suicide. If this is true, I just want to put it out there, because I think that's the greedy part. That's the greedy part of contracting. That's all that is. What do they call that in liberal circles? Oh, war profiteering. It doesn't help the families who lost a member, or somebody, who lost a Defense Base Act claim, or they were given a pittance of what their lifetime of problems would cost. They get some, bones thrown at them. And even if the company cleverly uses marketing, oh yeah, it was so much money given to this person or this family, when really it's not, when you consider what, an adult male or even adult female veteran, with or without an education, the more education you add, the more that veteran is worth. It's not just based on age. And anybody who's using the age calculation and excluding education, I think that's a pretty shoddy settlement. Totally ignoring that person's educational background, because that also affects lifetime earnings. What's the word is called lifetime income value? No, it's lifetime earnings value. I forget the darn acronyms that are involved in that stuff, but it's something like that. lifetime earning value. But when you're not including the victims' education and their background, only looking at their military background and their contracting background, you're shortchanging them. Big time. And I know people that have been shortchanged, but companies are very clever. So are their little minions out there. Very clever to try to spin things against the victim. But I'm also curious if various, although, because of the, gosh, I can't remember now. Because of federal law, you can't sue the military. It's a very rare case to sue the military, very rare, and very specific case that would go in front of the Supreme Court, very specific. And then it would be pushed back down to the Court of Appeals anyway. But very specific and very rare. But now regarding veterans that die long after they're deployed from claims, or not from claims, but from illnesses that the claim was denied or the claim was never filed. If it's true that those veterans, the things have been refined, so those veterans' families now, it's more difficult for them to file for death benefits or I forgot the legal classification, survivor's benefits, because again the claim was never filed or it was denied. But after autopsy or after a medical diagnosis while the person's dying, or perhaps directly post-mortem, certain things that were related to their military service, if things have been refined so that those families get nothing, essentially making it harder for survivors to get benefits and for dependents, and even for death benefits of that veteran's family to bury them and to pay off their debts, etc., and to get some kind of financial stability after expending out so much that's to settle the accounts of that person's life, to settle everything including their burial or cremation. The same time that, because this person was more than likely sick for an extended period of time, could be a year, could be 10 years, so that loss of income has catapulted over 10 years, and now they got to pay out a bunch of money as well. If it's true that these things were made more difficult through the VA, and I tend to believe both, that could explain why some people from my former contractor have retaliated or ignored me and others who were injured on contract, after promises of you can come back and everything. And I heard from everybody, or not from everybody, I heard from the company, but I had a 20-page no fault, hold harmless document to sign, and my lawyer told me don't sign it. He said they don't want you back. Is if you sign that document and you get killed in action, all the companies do is going to send you home, your body. No benefits will be paid out, no death settlement, nothing. That 20-page document basically holds them harmless. Even if you get shot in friendly fire, it holds them completely tabula rasa, an empty slate. It's not their problem. So I didn't sign it. But I've known other guys, they never heard back. Never. I wonder about that. Because some of us had some issues, that at least one guy had surgery. My surgery, well, part of the problem with the disagreement with the company was that they said our insurance, our company insurance, erroneously approved the surgery, but at least they stopped the second one. And they said, the settlement is not related to the second surgery that's needed. Um, which that got better. Well, some of them did. But again, the settlement didn't have anything to do with that. It had to do with the neck, which I mean now is, I have to keep that excluded from certain things. But the implants never given me a problem.
I would feel the same if the situation was reversed.
But still, the fact matters that one of the guys that I worked with, he needed a couple of surgeries. Yeah, he continued to have some abdominal problems.
But if I'm honest,
So I wonder.
it'll be an adjustment.
I wonder. So I'll put that question out there for politicians. Because if some of us die from an issue that the company or even the VA could say, oh, the company, we got two sides of the same coin. The company could say, he or she were deployed here or there, and this issue has been found in military that were in this area. So, we want to, make use of the Defense Base Act refund clause. We want the money we invested in that contractor. We want it back, and then the military has to pay them back. Or the VA is going to say to some family, oh, well, yeah, that person, yeah, it's unfortunate. Or no, this is what they'll say. They'll say, yeah, it's very unfortunate. We're sorry for your loss, that your husband or wife passed away from leukemia and blood cancer because they were in Afghanistan next to a burn pit for 2 locations because of their MOS. That's that's where they're sent every time. But because no claim was filed, and they were not under VA medical care, we apologize, but we can offer you a check to help with their final expenses of $750. Thank you for your service. When I see that and documents from the VA, I just shake my head. It doesn't have a positive meaning when I hear it from them. It's almost patronizing. They'll put it in big bold letters. Thank you for your service. The VA is committed to the high standard of care and medical diagnosis and medical treatment of every veteran of every uniformed service in our great country. It's patronizing. But there's a divine justice. I just think it's sad when people don't see it in this lifetime. But I'm just putting out there that, questions for the right people. And then they may not see this until I'm long gone. But that's just a question that I wonder. Are we shortchanging veterans and contractors in the same blow?